Hey, what's up, guys? Today I'm going to be doing the other distro review that I was planning on doing. Last distro review I did was on Garuda Linux, and today is going to be a review on Nobara. So, what is Nobara? I've got the Nobara homepage here. Nobara is a modified version of Fedora Linux with user-friendly fixes added to it. It's saying that Fedora is a very good workstation OS, but it doesn't involve anything third-party or proprietary because um, the Fedora project and Red Hat as a whole have a very strong stance on shipping free software. So the difference between Nobara and standard Fedora is that it includes more stuff related to gaming out of the box, such as Wine, OBS, third-party codecs, such as from GStreamer, NVIDIA, which has always been a big pain to install on Fedora. Um, Now, Nobara aims to fix most of these issues as being, because, like I was saying, it's a more gaming-oriented distribution, but it's not a Fedora spin. It even says it right here, because, Fedora spin's an officially released version of Fedora with a different desktop environment, such as GNOME, KDE, or I think there's even an XFCE one now. It's completely independent from Fedora. There are no Fedora developers involved. They just use the Fedora packages code and repositories. Now, who maintains Nobara? I believe there's a whole team that maintains it, of course, but the lead head of the Nobara project is Glorious Eggroll, which is the one who works on the fork of TKG Proton, which is a fork of Proton itself. So he runs this project as a way of being able to make a more gaming-oriented, out-of-the-box Linux distribution. So we can go over some of the things here. We'll kind of just glimpse over this. It has cherry-picked Zen patches, but it's not a Zen kernel, though. It's Linux TKG. It has its patched with OpenRGB, AMD GPU for pre-Polaris cards instead of Radeon, because the Radeon graphics driver does not work with Vulkan. So, if you have an RX 200 series, or if you have an R200 series card, you can play out of the box. It's got Steam Deck support. It's got ASUS Linux patches. So the Linux G14 patch kernel, or if you have like a Zephyrus G14 or something like that, then you can control your fans and stuff without having to use the G14 kernel. Lenovo Legion Linux support. So it's got support for a lot of special laptops that may have had to have some stuff done to it out of the box, where it's not going to work right away. Let's see what else we've got. It's got GameScope already, G-Overlay, Mango HUD, VK Basalt. It's got Xwayland patch with fix for locked FPS on some systems, which is very annoying to people. It's even got Super Graphics CTL. That's actually my favorite. That's my favorite graphics switcher on Linux laptops. And that was actually developed by the ASUS-Linux team, too. The ones up here who have these patches. Let's see if there's anything else I need to add to this. Nope. I guess we can go ahead and get started. So where you'd go to download it, you'd go up here, click download Nobara, and you can choose you got 3 different versions. So you've got the flagship version, which is GNOME with extensions, and then you have GNOME, and then you have KDE. So the idea here of the official spin is that you get the functionality of GNOME, but you get the look of KDE. You can actually even see it down here. Their layout is very similar looking. It doesn't look like standard GNOME like it does right here. I went ahead and just downloaded the official version. I'm not a huge GNOME fan of the desktop environment. I'm a big fan of I'm a big fan of their toolkits, but not a fan of their desktop environment, but we'll go ahead and do it anyways. It's not a bad desktop environment though. So I'm gonna make a virtual machine here, like usual. We got Nobara. We're gonna have to do it as Fedora Linux 37. We're gonna double the amount of memory to 4 gigs. We're gonna give it 4 threads. We'll give it 30 gigabytes. Customize. We're gonna make it UEFI, and then we'll do OpenGL with the listen type to none, and then 3D acceleration on. Just makes the virtual machine look a little bit better. We're just gonna start Nobara. We don't need to test any media. If you're wondering why it's doing that, that's just an issue with the 3D graphics driver. So we're gonna go in here, and we've already got the installer. It's already guessed my location, which it did last time too. We'll erase disk. We don't want swap. Give it a password. We're not doing that. No. If you use that, don't do this. Don't do this right here. You always log in with a password. I would disown you if you log in without a password. Like the whole community will. It should not even be an option. This installer is quite a bit slower than the Glorious Linux installer was. Take a look at this. What? I can't even click on this link right here. Guess we can get familiar with this menu for a second. I actually like this. This is very reminiscent of older KDE, Windows 7 and before style start menu. Yeah, that's why I use the OpenGL acceleration when I can, because it just makes it look a little bit smoother. Not much better, but you see how smooth that is. The only thing that it usually messes up on is this. That's like that because of QXL. I mean, I can even show you though. Like we can watch a video in this VM just fine. Now, don't be fooled by my mouse here, because that's just QXL trickery. But we can go to youtube.com here. Check out one of my videos. Make sure to check out Resident Evil Village, by the way. I have a bit of a bad time towards the end, but I do like what I am seeing so far in that. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to episode... See, it's still 60 FPS. It's still very smooth. It's just like that because the QXL polling rate's low. Wow, I would have figured that it would actually have been installed by now. It seems like it's finding more and more files. There you go. Dre cut as well. I noticed that everybody is moving away from MKInit CPIO. I've noticed that Garuda was doing that, and now it looks like Nobara is not using that. I believe Fedora moved away from MKInit CPIO, but I wonder what that is. I think MKInit CPIO is a little bit better because it's simpler, and it's not something that... It's not like an Xorg file because it's not something as critical. Because with MK and its CPIO, you're pretty much just mostly just fooling around with modules and stuff like that. And if you load up a module if you load up like an invalid module, it'll let you know. If you mess up with your Xorg config, you'll know too, but you're gonna have trouble fixing it. That right there is one thing I've always thought that other Linux distributions always got whack. Looks like we finally finished installing it, so we'll go ahead and restart now. The thing that I was talking about is that on Arch Linux, you don't have to do grub2 -make config. You just do grub make config. It's still grub2, but I mean, I can't show you because, you know, can't run OBS while I'm starting my system up. Maybe I can clone it sometime or something and I'll show y'all. Make a whole video on just that. There we go. Now, I don't believe that this is like Garuda Linux, where you pick and choose. Yeah, we'll do that. I don't believe this is like Garuda Linux, where you get to pick and choose the software that you have installed. I believe it's more typical to other distros, where that software is already pre-installed. I mean, we can look. Yeah, see, it's already got all this stuff installed already. So let's see what we've got here. We've got the Nobara package manager, which I have a feeling may just be a front end for DNF. But it's like maybe like a special front end. He's got flat packs too. Let's see. Got Wine Tricks. We've got the Nobara NVIDIA Wizard. What is that? I could maybe pass through my NVIDIA GPU here in a second. I'll actually see about doing that and see if it detects it. Well, no, I can't. I can't. Yeah, this is just pretty much just, it's like Octopi. I guess here we can download a flat pack and then install it from here. I figured it'd be like more like the Flatpak hub though. So we got Lutris. Lutris is kind of like a do-it-all game manager on Linux, where like you can launch Steam games from it. It can handle Wine games for you. It can handle good old games for you. I think you can even do stuff like Epic and all that, like without having to like set it up in Wine like how we would do it like 10 years ago. See, we've got time shift, which I didn't read that on the thing, which I kind of figured it would have been on here. I think that's actually standard with Fedora now. I don't think that's in the Nobara edition. We got Proton Up QT, which I actually remember seeing the video on this maybe about a year ago for a CLI tool that was called Proton Up. Or not Proton Up, but Proton Up. And QT is a front end for it in Qt. They don't have a GTK version because you know, I don't know what baby got kicked somewhere that we don't get that. It looks different on here though. This one actually seems different. I don't see, yeah, that's a bit outdated, because let me show you what this looks like on my system. So I'm gonna load up here. See, I have the same tool, but you can't download DXVK with the one that I have. See, and that looks like that just came out today. I might check that out. See, you know, I can't download DXVK. I can't even download Wine-GE, but that looks like that's still just regular old Proton. But yeah, I like even like the DXVK and all that. I don't even know why DXVK async is still a thing. And that's a relatively old version right there of Proton-GE, which, I mean, for the most part, you don't necessarily always need it. The gap between games that work with only one or the other closes like every day. Let's see what else we can check out. We'll take a look at how G-Overlay looks on here. So G-Overlay is a program that manages, let me see if Replay Sorcery, nope, yep, Replay Sorcery is not on here. It manages 3 programs. It manages Mango HUD, which is like Rivatuna statistics server, but for Linux. It's actually a little bit better than RTSS in my opinion, especially with how much easier it is to launch. You've got VK Basalt, which is like Reshade, but it doesn't work for OpenGL programs like Reshade does. It only works for Vulkan. You can thank the developer. They said that they're not going to be working on OpenGL. Hopefully it gets fixed. It's you know, FOSS program. Well, actually, I think VK Basalt is MIT. I'll have I'll clarify that in the description. This is not the time or place for that. Let's take a look at what else we got. We've got OpenRGB, which is the premier RGB program on Linux. I don't have any RGB hooked up to my VM, obviously, but I can show you OpenRGB on my program, you know, my setup. So, see, these are my RAM sticks. This is for my motherboard, and control my fans here, and the RGB on my actual motherboard itself. That's my GPU. So, you know, it's just like regular old RGB software. You need to make sure that you get stuff that's supported by OpenRGB, though. But it's a great program. Oh, there's actually something down there called Welcome to Nobara. That's cool. Don't know why it wouldn't do this automatically. You can even change your login manager, which means you could with enough work anyways, but you can get new themes and icons, choose a layout, theme your desktop, add extensions to your desktop. It even has a troubleshooter, has a community tab, has a donations or contributions tab, credits, and it even has recommended additions, like if you need Blender or Kden or OBS. Discord. I don't recommend Discord. We should stop recommending that because it, you know, Chinese data mine. Yeah, it even said show on startup. I didn't see this. This is the only thing that I saw it do. Well, I'll take a look and see if there's anything else in here. I'm not going to look at the default GNOME apps, though. I see it says Pulse Audio there. Do we have Pulse Audio, or do we have Pipewire? I'll say you're gonna have me acting unwise if there's some Pulse Audio on here. Nope, there is indeed Pipewire. Good. Nobody should be using Pulse Audio by default at this point. Pipewire is just way better. Actual feature parity between all your different sound servers. Well, that right there was Nobara Linux. I have to say I don't have too much of an opinion on this one because I have not run this on bare metal. But I've heard good things about this distribution, and I mean, it's still just Linux at the end of the day. which means that, like I said, you see how my stuff handles. It's going to handle pretty much for the most part, like 99.99% the same. The only time that you might have something different if it's a Debian-based distro and you're going to be using like older drivers and stuff like that. But Fedora still keeps up to date on their stuff, just not as up to date as Arch, at least in regards to like the kernel and stuff like that. But you're gonna still have a pretty good time on this distro because, like I said, I've seen the software. It's not a ton of software that it includes with it, but it's still, you know, enough to get the job done. And they have a way of getting the other software like NVIDIA, which I'm gonna be honest with you, if you're using a 20 series and above card, you may have a bit of trouble installing this distribution because of, at least if that's your only display driver, you may have a bit of trouble installing distribution because you're not going to have a way of booting into X because you're not going to have, NoView doesn't work with RTX cards and above. That's the problem. Anyways, if you like this distribution, if you like this video, like and subscribe. Click on the bell notification. If you want to make the switch to Linux, check out distribution and check out my other distribution review, which was Glorious Linux. If you want to see some information on Linux gaming, check out my guides, check out my Let's Plays to see how smooth it can be. I mean, there are some hiccups sometimes, but for the most part, it works just fine. If you want to see my video essays on free and open source software, I've got some of those as well. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you wind up switching this distribution, let me know down in the comments. But anyways, I hope you guys have an awesome and wonderful rest of y'all's day.